Hey, you're an artist, right? Do you skip doing thumbnails and coming up with concepts for your art? Well, if you do, you need to stop doing that and you need to develop your artistic thinking skills. So please keep watching this video so I can teach you how to do that. Hello guys, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Minty Mickey. I am an artist and illustrator, and I just made this channel so that I can help people learn how to make art better. So if you guys want to know more about me and more about my channel, go ahead and click that subscribe button and just check out my channel if you're interested in art. I think that this part of the process is the most intimidating and the most thinking that you'll do throughout your entire piece. And that is the concept and idea building process that you do before you make any art piece ever. So the first tip I have is just being open to new ideas and all the ideas that you have in your head. Don't be afraid to write down like all the ideas you have in your head for a piece. Like maybe you want the girl to be sitting, maybe you want the girl to be standing, in your piece. Maybe you want, them to be flying, like write down and just, think about every idea and don't think any idea is dumb, because it could lead to the final good idea that you'll have in the end. And another thing that could go along with this tip is really just to think of as many ideas and concepts and anything you can ever think of for your art piece. Think of as many as you can until there is literally no more ideas that pop into your head for this particular thing, because again, that's really going to help you with your critical thinking skills and coming up with more unique ideas for your art and whatnot. So the second tip that I have is never go with the first idea that you have right away. You can go eventually back to it and think, oh yeah, that's the best idea I had out of all of these other ideas. But never, not never, but make sure you really think about all the other ideas before you jump back to your first idea that you had, and really try to put that first idea, the first initial thing that made you want to draw, on the back burner so that you can really think about all the other ideas that are possible for your art, and it's really going to help you gain those critical thinking skills that you need as an artist. Alright guys, so now we're going to talk about tip number 3, which is word association. Word association is pretty much just, thinking, writing down words that go with the concept or piece you're going with. So back in October, I wanted to make a Halloween piece, right? So I wrote down everything I could ever think of that has to be associated with Halloween. I wrote down witch, cat, pumpkin, orange, purple, the moon, I wrote down everything I could think of. And it really helped me use that to jump off to another concept that I wanted to do. So I had witch down and I had skeleton down. So I was like, okay, bam, I'm gonna put these two together and make a skeleton witch. I think that's really cool. I can show you guys the illustration I ended up with on the screen here. And word associations can really help because as artists, we are very visual people. So we can see the things in our head, but I don't know if you guys are like me, but I see the things in my head, but then I forget about them. So just writing down words of stuff that I want to include in my art really helps me remember what I want to include in my art, So writing down word associations all the time can really help you come up with better ideas for your art. Alright, so tip number 4 is probably one of the best tips that I've ever learned as an artist, and I actually learned it at art school. It is using descriptive adjectives to think about your art. So when you're coming up with concepts, it always helps to think about what your piece could be described as. Is your piece going to be look more clean? Is it going to look more smooth? Is it going to look grungy? Think about those kinds of words to describe your art, and kind of go use that to make a mood board or something like that, which I will talk about later what mood boards are. Using descriptive adjectives can also be a jumping off, or a jumping off point into your next project or something like that. I think that is one of the best tips that I can give you that I haven't really heard from anywhere else, is just using descriptive adjectives to jump off as a jumping board into your next art piece. Tip number 5 is kind of associated with tip number 3. Actually, it is word lists, and like word association, you know, it's all about writing down lists that have to do with certain things in your art. Like, for example, like you're wanting to draw your dog, you know, write everything that has to do with your dog. Like, my dog likes toys, my dog likes to eat, my dog likes to go on walks, you know, stuff like that. So just making lists of stuff that you want to include in your art piece can really help you develop it visually later on. Tip number 6, right, is thumbnails. And I know what you guys are gonna say. I hate doing thumbnails. But listen, do not click off this video, please. Listen to me. Thumbnails are so good. You need to do thumbnails, okay? Like, you can't. I don't do thumbnails sometimes. I'll admit it. I do not do thumbnails sometimes. But when I do make thumbnails, it helps me so much. Oh my god. And then another thing I wanted to talk about with thumbnails is that there are different kinds of thumbnails that you can do. It's not always just like a little tiny box in your sketchbook where you just sketch out the thumbnail like in a really small box. No, there's different kinds of thumbnails that you can do, and there's different levels of thumbnails you can do. You can start out with like a big piece of paper, like, or a regular sized piece of paper, draw 9 squares, right? And then draw all the different like compositions and concepts that you want to do, and then you can choose two or three from there, and then go on to a little bigger thumbnail, so like maybe 2 squares on one piece of paper, and figure out your composition from there. And then you can also do that again to test other ones. So there's different levels of thumbnails that you can do. Alright guys, now one of my favorite parts of the concept process is coming up with mood boards and inspo boards. So what mood boards are pretty much just piling up together different photos, images, drawings that you've done maybe, or drawings that other people have done, to pretty much come up with what you want what you want the mood or atmosphere around your drawing to be. And I love going on Pinterest, as probably any other artist loves doing. And I like making mood boards from the pictures on Pinterest, but I do not make mood boards on Pinterest, but you can always make mood boards on Pinterest. But I actually use a different app. It's called VizRef, and you can see it right here. So these are the mood boards that I made for different projects that I made. So for example, here is my skeleton witch mood board. As you can see here, I had references for the pose I did, the kind of witch hat I wanted to have, maybe ideas for like the hairstyle I was planning on doing. I think I ended up going with more of this one, yeah. And the type of like mood I wanted to have in the piece. So like I was really inspired by Over the Garden Wall. And so these are like the different kind of elements that you can put into your mood board. And another thing you can put is color palette, which I really didn't put in this one because I thought I was gonna go with more of a like fall color theme, but I ended up like changing it later on. I'm just gonna show you guys examples of the mood boards that I've done. And your mood boards can be as detailed as you want or as simple as you want. It doesn't really matter, as long as it works for you. So mood boards are really fun, and I think if you are a visual person, which most of us are, if you're an artist, most of us are really visual. So making mood boards helps a lot with seeing how your piece is gonna look visually and stuff like that. Alright guys, so now finally we have the very, very last tip. And I have mentioned it before in the video, but the most important tip that I can give you for getting better at coming up with concepts for your art and, you know, making better art, coming up with better ideas and stuff like that, is to not skip this process. The process of, you know, thinking about what you're gonna draw before you draw it. making thumbnails, making word lists, making word associations, anything like that, just please don't skip this step. I am guilty of it, and I'm sure a lot of other artists are guilty of it. And you know, there are times when you have those moments where you can just already see what you are going, what you're going to make. You can just see it on the paper before it's even there. And those moments are awesome, but they're not there all the time. So you have to be able to come up with your ideas and really like sketch your ideas out, you know, write your ideas out any way that you can, you know, prepare for the final thing, because making these ideas, word lists, thumbnails is pretty much like stretching before a game or something like that, you know, like studying for an exam before you have an exam, you know, it's getting you ready for the final illustration or final drawing that you're gonna do. You know, that's pretty much like you know, going into a game without doing stretches first. Like, yeah, maybe you'll be okay, but you'll feel a lot better, a whole lot better if you stretch first, right? So make sure you come up with your ideas and really know what you're getting yourself into before you go and start drawing. And, you know, like, if you want to just draw for fun and it turns into a full-on illustration that you were able to, like, sell or, like, you know, display on your portfolio or display on, you know, with your other art because you think it's good enough, that's fine. That is totally fine. But like, it is really important, and the more you do it, the more you're gonna get used to it. So it'll get easier over time. And if you stop doing it, it's not. So like, I stopped doing it and it got really hard for me. So just trust me in this, guys, and just, you know, keep practicing your idea process and your concept process. It's really going to help you a lot in the long run. And you know, guys, it is a lot of work to write down all these lists, to make all these thumbnails, and just like make your brain think and think and think about like everything that your art could ever be. But after you know, make your thumbnails, after you go through the whole entire like idea process and have your rough drafts down and everything, it is going to make the drawing process so much faster and so much easier for you, because you have thought of everything that you need to do in order to accomplish your work. So, you know, when I don't really think about what I'm going to be drawing, like the kind of pose I'm going to be drawing, stuff like that, if I do not plan that out, if I do not like if I just think of it on the fly as I am drawing out my illustration, it takes me way longer to draw it out. So just like putting in that work ahead of time will make so much difference when you're drawing it later. I feel like it makes the process just go by so much smoother. Like, it helps so much. I cannot stress it enough. It helps so much. If you guys want some like anatomy tips, I made a video last week where I talk about all the anatomy secrets that I learned in art school. So if you guys want to check that out, that'd be cool. Please remember to like this video if it helped you. I hope it helped you. I know, like, when I learned this stuff in college, it really helped me a lot. It's like the one thing that I think helped me at art school. And, you know, comment down like what you think about the idea process making of art. What do you think? I wanna know. Like, I think it's really important. And I know when I don't do it, like, my art isn't as good as it could be. So see you guys next week. Bye!